Once upon a time, villains weren't misunderstood. They weren't tragic. They weren't clever anti-heroes or mirrors of ourselves. They weren't the road not taken. They were monsters. Freddy Krueger didn't represent trauma. He was a child-murdering demon who invaded dreams. You weren't meant to analyze him. You were meant to fear him. Darth Vader wasn't a broken man in pain. He was the black-armored embodiment of tyranny, oppression, and mass murder. Chucky wasn't a lonely soul seeking identity. He was a sadistic killer stuffed into a doll. They were designed to be opposed, hated, resisted. We didn't love them because they were right. We didn't empathize because they were justified. We didn't admire them because they had a point. We respected them because they were iconic. Their presence was cinematic, their imagery legendary, their voices cultural, their symbolism eternal. Not admiration, awe, not empathy, fear, not identification, recognition. They weren't human, they were mythic. Welcome to the Snakepit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Dæmon, and today I'm looking at the slow, systematic death of the iconic villain. Because, somewhere along the way, the role of the villain changed, not reinterpreted, rehabilitated, not deepened, excused, not complicated, moralized. The monster became the victim. The antagonist became the protagonist. The evil stopped being evil and became, misunderstood. And honestly, the fracture point is obvious. Maleficent, not a reinterpretation, a justification, not complexity, exoneration, not villainy, trauma. Then came Cruella, Joker, Magneto, Negan, Harley Quinn, Killmonger, Loki, Thanos, Homelander. Each iteration bleeds sympathy, explanation, or extenuating circumstances into characters that were once unambiguous threats. Their menace softens, their terror fades. They talk, they explain, they plead. And we, as an audience, listen. So we started rooting for them. We started seeing ourselves in them, We actually started liking the monsters. And, that's exactly when they died. Before all this, villains were just forces, like narrative engines, right? They weren't humanized at all. They weren't essays in empathy or anything like that. They were danger-made flesh. Vader, the shadow of the Empire, a stormtrooper of fear and inevitability. Freddy, relentless, laughing, nightmare incarnate. Chucky, tiny, merciless, unstoppable. The Joker, chaos unbound, laughter slicing through order. You didn't analyze them, you just opposed them, you feared them, you hated them. Their purpose was totally clear, to define the hero, to establish stakes, to enforce boundaries. Without them, heroes had nothing to overcome. Without them, conflict loses weight. And without them, story, it loses shape. The shift. 1973 marked a turning point. When Stacy's death at the hands of the Green Goblin was more than tragedy, it was narrative evolution. Spider-Man's vengeance was personal, intimate, not for justice, not for morality, not for truth, for himself. And that shift mirrored the broader decay of villainy. The focus turned inward, from external evil to internal reflection. Heroes became vulnerable, flawed, relatable, and villains began to follow suit. No longer purely menacing, they were explained. Their crimes contextualized, their violence justified, their terror softened into metaphor, their menace humanized into a cautionary tale about trauma or society. The monster became a therapist, the antagonist became a protagonist, evil became circumstance. So once iconic villains have been transformed into characters we can relate to, cheer for, even love, Maleficent is now a wronged fairy, not terror incarnate. Cruella. She's a misunderstood fashion rebel, not a puppy murderer. The Joker becomes a societal allegory, not just nihilistic chaos. Harley Quinn is now a quirky, empowered anti-hero, not an abuser. Killmonger, well, he's a politically righteous revolutionary, not a genocidal threat. Thanos? He's an eco-philosopher, not a cosmic exterminator. Loki is recast as a mischievous tyrant, not a manipulative menace. Homelander is a power fantasy, not a predatory monstrosity. And Negan, believe it or not, is now a charming redemption figure, not simply a sadistic tyrant. These days, we no longer watch villains, we watch therapy sessions with weapons, and because we've started to empathize with them, fear dies, tension dies, the stakes vanish. Honestly, the narrative bite is just gone. So what does this mean for heroes? Well, heroes now fight personal battles. They settle vendettas, they end up paying the cost themselves, and we watch fascinated by their psychology, not necessarily their triumphs. Spider-Man is no longer a symbol of virtue. Batman is scarred, a man broken again and again. Bond doesn't stop global threats anymore. He mourns losses and navigates chaos. With villains humanized, heroes become our mirrors instead of society's paragons. And when heroes become mirrors, the villains lose their edge. Without the monsters, stories lose their teeth. So, villains were never meant to be understood. They were meant to be opposed. They were meant to define the line between right and wrong. They were meant to make the hero shine and, make the stakes feel real. Now, we watch villains talk. We watch them justify. We watch them explain. We listen. We sympathize. We cheer. And in doing so, we kill the monster. We kill the fear. We kill the icon. And without true villains, heroes mean nothing. Conflict collapses. Evil loses shape. Myth dies. Narrative dies. Story dies. There are no villains anymore, no heroes, only grey characters, black and white striped, white and black striped, depending on how you see it. Good guy, bad guy, hero, villain, these are now just words. Thanks for dropping by the Snakepit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.